Selamat sejahtera, nama saya Devendran anak KISHON. Nombor kilometrik B13241005.
Salam sejahtera, nama saya YUGESWARAN RAMESH. Nombor metrik saya B1324100119.
Selamat sejahtera, nama saya SUBATHEERAN. Nombor metrik B1324100014.
Selamat sejahtera, nama saya KISHON dan LETCHUMANAN. Nombor metrik saya B1324100034.
Start by removing the headlamp and cover by loosening the headlamp cover nut with a screwdriver. Then use an impact driver to loosen the front brake spare tank. Locate the brake caliper attached to the fork and identify the bleeder screw. Using a wrench or Allen key, remove the caliper mounting bolts and carefully slide the caliper off the brake rotor, ensuring the caliper doesn't hang by the brake line. Secure the rotor with a cloth to protect it from brake fluid. For disassembly, use compressed air to push out the caliper pistons by inserting air through the brake hose fitting while blocking the other piston exit. Finally, remove brake pads by gently pressing them out of their holders with a flat head screwdriver.
Now, we start with the inspection of the brake caliper components. We start with checking brake pads. The brake pads are in good condition and the wear on the brake pads are even. There are no signs of scarring or cracks that are found on the brake pad. Next, the brake piston. The brake piston can be seen in good condition. There is no rust found on the brake piston. The brake piston cavity on the brake caliper is also in good condition, clean and unrusty. The rubber seal on the brake piston cavity is also in good condition. We can see there is no wear and no leakage that is found. Next, we check the brake bleeding nose. The brake bleeding nose and the nut seems to be slightly rusty but still is in good condition. The rust is caused by oxidization and can be cleaned easily. Next, the guide pin. The guide pin holds the brake pad to the brake caliper. The guide pin is straight and can be seen to be in good condition. Finally, we can see that the brake pad shim clip is in good condition.
For the assembly, first we must clean the brake piston using a clean cloth and apply a little bit of a grease on the piston. Next, clean the caliper and insert the piston gently into the caliper. Following that, reinstall the brake pad, insert the cleaner blade pad into the caliper. Confirm that the pad clip is placed properly. Ensure that they are seated properly within the caliper holder. Next, reattaching the brake caliper, tighten the caliper mount bolt using the correct torque setting. Next, ensure the caliper is aligned properly and does not bind or rub against the rotor. After reassembling, make sure all the bolts are torqued to the manufacturer's specification. Next, ensure the brake pads are correctly positioned and in the rotor is aligned.
Park the bike on a level surface and ensure it is stable. Use a center stand if available. Clean the brake master cylinder cap to prevent debris contamination. Remove the master cylinder cap carefully and top up with fresh brake fluid if needed. Attach a clear hose to the bleeder valve on the caliper, placing the other end into a container. Squeeze the brake lever several times to build up pressure. Hold the lever in the engaged position. While holding the brake lever, use a wrench to slightly loosen the bleeder valve. Allow all brake fluid and air bubbles to flow through the hose into the container. Tighten the valve before releasing the brake lever to prevent air from being sucked. Pump, hold, loosen and tighten in sequence until no air bubbles are visible in the fluid exiting the hose. Periodically, check the master cylinder receiver and top up with the fresh brake fluid. Never let the fluid level drop below the minimum mark. Once the system is free of air and only clear brake fluid flows, securely tighten the bleeder valve. Wipe off any slip fluid with a clean rag or paper towel. Squeeze the brake lever to ensure it feels firm and responsive. If the lever feels spongy, repeat the bleeding process. Clean around the bleeder valve and reinstall the master cylinder cap. Ensure all components are dry and free from brake fluid.
After that, check the brake fluid level and cleanliness before returning the motorcycle to regular use. Lastly, fix the headlamp and also the headlamp cover.
Now we will go to the discussions. We have set a few questions to ask about the brake testing that we have done. The first question is, how are the braking rotors discs inspected and maintained? In order to examine brake rotors, look for damage indicators such as bending, scoring or cracks. To make sure the rotor's thickness is within advised range, you can measure it with a micrometer. The rotor has to be replaced if it's excessively thin. If there is any accumulation of impurities, you may also use a non-abrasive cleanser to clean the rotors and give them a mild sanding while they are being serviced. For the second question, How can you determine whether the brake fluid is in poor condition and why it is necessary to change it? The brake fluid should be replaced because it is hygroscopic, meaning it collects moisture. This reduces its boiling point and can lead to corrosion in the brake system, brake fade, and decreased performance. A darkened or hazy brake fluid is frequently a sign of contamination or moisture absorption. A brake fluid tester can also be used, a basic moisture content test.
Now we are going to see the question number 3. How to identify an issue with the brake piston's functionality. To identify an issue with the brake piston, check for uneven brake pad wear, brake dragging or reduced braking power, which indicate the piston may be stuck or not retracting properly. Inspect for fluid leaks around the piston seals, rust or corrosion on the piston surface, and test the piston movement by applying gentle brake pressure. The piston should move smoothly and evenly. If a piston resists or fails to retract when pushed back, it's likely stuck due to damaged seals, corrosion, or debris. Clearing the piston, replacing seals, or rebuilding the caliper can solve the issue.
How is braking is impacted by the air bubbles in the braking system. The reason for a soft or spongy brake feels is because air bubbles the brake lines may compress when the brake level is depressed. Because the hydraulic pressure cannot be completely transferred to the brake calipers, the efficiency of braking is decreased. By removing air from the system, bleeding the brake restores quick and solid braking.
For the last question, how does quality of the brake pad influence the brake performance? The answer is, the quality of brake directly impact braking performance. High quality brake pad provide consistent friction, better heat resistance, and also long durability, ensuring smoother, quieter, and safe braking. They also reduce wear on the rotor and prevent overheating. In contrast, poor quality brake pad can cause inconsistent braking, longer stopping distance, fast wear, and even rotor damage, compromising both safety and performance.